Oh, hello there. This is Mr. Matthews. Welcome to some math tips. We're going to be talking about a few topics today that y'all have requested, or maybe some that we thought that you should know about with regards to mathematics at Childersburg. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, at school, I've been teaching in Childersburg for 15 years, and I've taught fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh and eighth grade, and while there are some differences between the age groups, a lot of things stay the same. A lot of things I wish would change and don't. A lot of things change for the better and never expected it. But there are a few things that I think across the board, just regardless of age or ability, that we can all do to help the students succeed. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. First, let's talk about communication. So it's heartbreaking when I've got a student who just believes in themselves that they are just bad at math. Like that's just not their thing. And I think that's really unfair. At their age, they're so young to believe so strongly that they can't do something. So what I really need y'all to do before we talk about scrap work, before we talk about calculators, before we talk about things you need to memorize, we've got to talk about being positive. You have no idea how your words impact the children. And if you go around saying things like, well, I'm just not a math person, or, well, I was just never good at math, the kids inherit that. They believe that. They believe that it's just a genetic thing. Like, oh, well, they're just not born with a math gene. And it gives them this built in excuse to be bad at it. So even the capable ones, it's an uphill battle just to get them to believe that they can do it. If you really want to know how your student's doing in math, don't ask them, so is everything okay? Because you'll get the response that I get from my children. Like, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's good. No problems. But if you really want to know, you gotta have them explain it to you. Sit down and make them show you some work, not an answer, not a grade. Get them to show you a problem. Get them to explain the work to you. If you really want to know if you really want to test your expertise in something, try to teach it to someone else. And then you'll really find out in a heartbeat if you know what you're talking about. I think you do the same thing to the kids. Oh, so you're working on fractions? Okay, well, why don't you show me? Explain this to me. How do you do this? And see what happens. That might create a special little moment for you and your student to just to teach each other how to do something. So I think the first thing we need to fix, if you really want to help your child, is communicate better. Be positive about mathematics, and make them explain things to you if you really want to know how they're doing. Next on my list, actual math tips, like the actual process. Okay, so scrap paper. Any student that tells you they did it in their head is guessing. Even if you could do the mechanics in your head, there's no detriment to writing it down. Even if you use a calculator for part of the work, there is no detriment to writing it down. Even if you're about to type it in, just write down what you're going to punch into the calculator. You got to encourage them when they get frustrated. You have to be, you have to let them know that, when you get stuck, when you're confused, that's when learning begins, not when it ends. So when you get them to work on their scrap paper and you get them to show their understanding, this is when you get to prove that they're doing well or diagnose when they're not. A lot of students are really quick to give an answer, but then you have them show the process and all of a sudden they fall apart. Like, well, I don't know how I got it. I just got it. I think that's part of the culture we need to try and fix is they're so obsessed with just having an answer that they are not really enthusiastic about the process. And that's something we really need to work on. We really need to help encourage the kids to Focus on the steps. At this stage in their life, they're so young. Let's worry about how to solve the problems and not just what the answer is. So making sure they're doing scrap work, make them show you what they're doing. You need to be able to diagnose it, look and see what they did. That way you can prove they're doing great. Or maybe you guys can work together to diagnose a problem. But never, ever, ever come down on them when they get something wrong. Because you know what? Errors are some of the best teachers. I always tell my kids at some point early in the year, you know what the number one teacher, you know who the number one teacher is in the world? Pain. Pain is. You learn real quick from pain. You know how I know not to touch the iron in my mama's house? Because when I was about 6, I thought, let me see if this thing is turned on. I learned real quick. You better just check and see if it's plugged in. Don't bother trying to touch it. But you know what? We can't teach math through pain that I know of. The next best thing is the pain you feel when you get something wrong. You know what? Getting something wrong is fine. You have to make mistakes to learn in mathematics, in my opinion. The more mistakes, the better. Because eventually you're not going to want to make those mistakes anymore, and you're going to learn how to avoid those mistakes. And then forever, you're fixed. Okay. Last thing. The resources you really should be utilizing. So if you've got a struggler, or if you're trying to learn something in math, there's 2 places I think you should go. 1, YouTube. YouTube. There's instructional videos for everything. You can fix a car using YouTube. There are plenty of math instructors on YouTube that can show you exactly how to do something. Probably the hardest thing is knowing what to look up, and that's something you can ask teachers for. Like, hey, Mr. Matthews, what are we going to be learning? What is my student going to be learning next week, next semester? And once you got the name of the skill, just go nuts, look it up. You'll find dozens and dozens of videos. And if you don't, guess what? I've got you covered. I have my own YouTube channel. If you just search for Mark Matthews with 1 T, I'll pop up. If you send me a request, I'll make a video. Here, we'll take a look at my channel real quick right now. Here it is. So I got videos and playlists for all kinds of 7th grade, 8th grade mathematics, algebra stuff right now. But if there was a request in my email, in my inbox saying, hey, could you make a video on how to do this? I don't care if it's a 5th grader, 6th grader, 7th grader. Just let me know how I can help. I'll make the video, I'll post it, I'll send out word on social media that, hey, it's available. Now, I wish more people would do that, because traditionally, I'll make a video specifically for a certain class saying, hey, here's your resource. Make sure you watch the explanations. 2 kids watch it. So that might be something you can help with too. If you could just encourage the kids to go look at content, especially with our social distancing world we live in right now. If you can't be at school 5 days a week, that means you're going to have to teach yourself for a few days. And this is the best way to do it. Get a teacher via YouTube, or the other site that I am always, ever since I discovered it, I think it's amazing. The other one that I advocate, other than YouTube, is called Khan Academy. It's the ones I advocate for over all others. If you had the drive, if you had the determination, you could teach yourself pre-K skills from counting objects all the way to linear algebra and advanced stuff in college that I didn't even take. It's wonderful. It's got lessons, it's got notes, it's got instructional videos, it's got hints and tips, it's got quizzes, it's got everything you need. It just takes some drive and determination to force yourself to get into it. We'll take one quick look at that, and then I think we'll be done for the day. So here are my classes, but every single person can just pick a grade level. Like, let's say I wanted to work on my 5th grade skills. I can go to 5th grade, and it's got an entire curriculum laid out for you in order. You can skip around if you want to, or you can just do their recommendations. It's fabulous. It gives you the assignments, only 4 or 5 problems wrong, maybe 7 problems. It tells you to get them right. It tells you to get them wrong. If you can't, it has a link to the video showing you how to do it. And as long as you got some grit, it's an amazing tool. That about wraps it up. In summary, communicate with your children in a positive way. Tell them that learning, like being frustrated is fine, making mistakes is fine. Confusion is where learning begins. We're all math people. Secondly, scrap work. Make them show it to you. Make them explain what they're thinking. That's the best way to prove whether people are doing well or poorly. It's just, don't base it on whether they have an answer or not. Base it on the process. Let them show you what they're doing. Lastly, if you need help, contact me with an email. Look and see if there's already an instructional video posted online. I am not going to say that my videos are better than any. I mean, there's some really great videos out there on YouTube that show you how to do things. But you know what? I'm here. We are here at school. Let us know what you need. And I don't care if it's a 5th grade skill, 6th grade skill, 8th grade skill, whatever. Making a video is easy. So there's YouTube. And then if you want to propel yourself or your child, get on Khan Academy. Everything you need is there. Just takes the time and determination to teach yourself how to do that stuff. So this has been Mr. Matthews from Children's Middle School. I hope you have a wonderful day. And please let us know if we can help you with anything. Bye-bye. If I can hit the button.